Whether you've got a busy week ahead or you just need some new dinner inspiration, these recipes are going to be perfect for you. They are super tasty, super easy to make, and just so worth it. You gotta give these a try. We're making a butter garlic chicken. This is about a 15-minute meal if you make it with rice. I'm making ours with potatoes tonight, and because of that, it might take a little bit longer. And to be completely transparent with you, I haven't even decided exactly how we're gonna make the potatoes yet. So I don't know if I wanna put them on a sheet pan and make them in the oven, or if I wanna cook them in a little bit of bone broth on the stove. I'm thinking maybe that method. Let's get a chopping, okay? Let's start the process here. All right, I've decided. We're gonna make it in a pan, and I'm actually just going to cut them and put them directly into the pan rather than getting another bowl out. So we're just taking these potatoes. I'm gonna cut off the little eye here. A lot of them have it. And let's just cut it into bite-sized pieces. So obviously, depending on which kind of potato you're using, will determine the amount that you have to cut each one. So like I said, if you wanna make this really quick, throw some rice in your rice maker, and then the only thing you're concerned about is the actual chicken part of the meal, which is the garlic butter chicken. We're gonna use the same spices and flavors on the potatoes as we are the chicken. So everything will kind of work together. And also I'm adding broccoli to this so that we have a vegetable in it, and it's just gonna be all together, just all the flavors working together. And I'm thinking we'll probably serve it bowl style. They're so easy. For the potatoes, I'm gonna take some of this minced garlic and add that. I'm gonna add some basil. This is probably a teaspoon or so. Same with oregano, about a teaspoon. We like good flavor, so this should be no surprise if you've been here for a while. And paprika for color and smokiness. I probably should have ordered more paprika. We fly through it. Okay, we do need a pinch of salt. And then I'm gonna add a touch of oil, probably only a half teaspoon. Let's get those nice and coated. Okay, so we're just gonna get the oil and all those flavors all over the potatoes, but I am gonna be putting some bone broth in here. I actually really love to cook our potatoes on the stove in bone broth. And there's a couple different reasons. It adds extra protein because bone broth is high in protein, but it also kind of makes a little bit of a sauce. So these aren't gonna be crispy potatoes. These are gonna be softer potatoes. You can crisp them up at the end if you want to, but it's just a preference of ours that, I don't know, it's just a different texture. It's not a mashed potato, but it's also not a crunchy potato. If we need some extra protein in a meal, I feel like that's often the thing that I'll do. Also, this is not homemade, obviously. I do often make my own bone broth, and several of you have asked for that recipe. I'm gonna do my very best to get that up on the website this week so that you can have it. Anytime you have a question about a recipe, you can always check feedingthebirds.com. That's where I post all of my recipes, and you can use the search bar there, and you can search for anything that I've made before. If it's not in there, then I'm either working on getting it onto the website, or you can find it on my YouTube channel. The bone broth, let's start with about a half cup and kind of see where that goes. We will put a lid on this so it can help just kind of steam everything. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get these started because they do take a little bit longer, probably 20 to 25 minutes. The chicken does not take quite as long, so we'll get started on this. So let's do right about a medium heat and put that lid on. I do want to add some color to this meal, so we're gonna add some broccoli, and I'm going to put it over here in this bowl, or the one right in front of me. I'll make sure we add some flavor to it. I don't want them to be too big, so I'm making sure, I don't want to be too small either because they break apart really easy if they're too small, but enough that they're, bite-sized pieces. Also, if you're ever wondering what to do with the broccoli stalk, you can make broccoli slaw out of that, and it's really good. So if you have a meal like this where you're using just the, what is this part called? Crown, where you're using mostly just the crown, you can use your cheese grater and make broccoli slaw with the stalk. I'm using chicken thighs tonight. This can absolutely be done with chicken breasts, but overall, this is a pretty lean meal. With the exception of the oil and the butter, but we're keeping that to a minimum. But I feel totally comfortable adding the thighs just because everything else is a little bit more lean. So you can do either, add whichever you prefer. This is, I think this was 4 thighs that I've cut into bite-sized pieces, and I've got some flour here in my flour shaker. I'm gonna add about 2 tablespoons. The same spices that we added to the potatoes. So some basil, maybe about a 1/2 teaspoon, some oregano, about a 1/2 teaspoon of that as well. Some paprika, same thing, about a 1/2 teaspoon. Well, that's a little more, but that's okay. And then we need to add some, what is that called? Why can I not think of words? Garlic, minced garlic. Add some minced garlic. Because this is garlic butter or butter garlic chicken. So we gotta have garlic, obviously. Oh, salt. Gotta have salt. Toss this all together, getting all those flavors all over the chicken. And I'm gonna cook this over on the stovetop once I feel like we are close with the potatoes, because those can kind of just sit and simmer and they'll be okay. I also want to add a little bit of flavor here to the broccoli. So just a little bit of salt. I haven't decided, you can put them in with the potatoes or you can put them in with the chicken once it's almost done. So either way is fine. It's gonna pick up the flavors of everything that's in the pan. I might end up just tossing them in with the potatoes in a second. And honestly, the more I think about it, you can make this a 1-pot meal if you want. Cook everything, cook the potatoes in 1 pot, take them out, cook the chicken, throw all of that back in, and then toss in the broccoli and let it cook for an additional 2 to 3 minutes, and you're good. I kind of want to assemble them separately, so I'm gonna bake them, or I'm cooking them separately. All right, our potatoes are actually about done at this point, so let's get this chicken cooking. I'm gonna turn my heat onto a medium-high and just add a touch of oil to the pan. Oil is hot, so I'm gonna go ahead and add in the butter and let that melt. Should happen pretty quickly, about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half. If you're not adding broccoli, then I would keep it closer to a tablespoon. We're gonna put this chicken in and spread it out as much as possible. And we're gonna let it just be in here for 3 to 4 minutes, then come back and flip it. You don't really wanna mess with it so it can get some good flavor. So leave it just like that for just a couple minutes, then we'll flip. Over here on this side, the potatoes are done cooking. So I'm just gonna toss in the broccoli and just kind of let that steam up in there while we finish up the chicken. Let's see what we're looking like here. If we've got good color yet. Okay, it's starting. I still wanna leave it just a bit longer. Okay, let's go ahead and turn this because I mean, look at that. That looks good. That is what you want to see. Oh my goodness. Okay, y'all, at the last second, I really kind of wish that I had put the broccoli in here because it would absorb that leftover butter flavor. So do as I say, not as I do. Fortunately, I can just pick it out because it's big enough pieces. But I want it to get some of that flavor on there. So we're just gonna throw it in here in the last couple seconds of cooking and let it go. We're developing a new thing here, okay? So just work with me. Hopefully you're not cooking along with me. You're cooking after I do this. So we're just really letting that broccoli soak up any of the last bit of the butter and the seasonings that were kind of at the bottom of the pan. So you can see the chicken got a lot of it. I mean, look at that beautiful color. But this way, the broccoli will get whatever's left, adding to that flavor.
The chicken looks awesome.
Yeah,
it's
the chicken
glistening.
looks amazing. I'm trying the chicken first.
Flavor on those potatoes is awesome. And it's thighs, it looks like.
That chicken is good.
Man.
The chicken is really good.
That is delicious.
Are you scraping the broccoli off of the chicken?
I wanted to show just the chicken.
Oh, okay. Thought you just were gonna refuse to eat the broccoli.
I'm not gonna eat another bite because that's your
yeah, that's my
your
plate.
platter. Don't want to take any of yours, any more of yours.
It's really good though.
Yeah.
And I really like potatoes cooked this way, cooked in the bone broth, so they're kind of steamed, but then once the bone broth is done, it puts a little bit of a saute on them. What is it called? Sears it almost a little bit. Yeah. But yeah.
Instead of just mushy, you have that outside sear.
It was really good.
That's delicious. What's the seasoning on the broccoli?
Salt. Well, then I cooked it in what the chicken was cooked in, so there's butter and stuff on it.
So there's a chance.
There's a chance. This is one of those meals though that really the chicken comes together in minutes. So the longest part of this meal is chopping and cooking the potatoes. If you can.
But did you let the chicken sit in a marinade or anything?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's just flour and stuff. If you can prep the potatoes ahead of time, then you can have this meal done in 15 minutes easily. So just chop everything early, and then when you're ready to go cook, you've got a 15-minute meal.
No added sugars in this?
No added sugars.
No seed oils?
No seed oils.
No processed foods?
No processed foods.
Hey-o!
Okay, it is early. It is actually only 11:30, but I wanna get a marinade together for the chicken that we're making for dinner tonight. It is a coconut lime chicken. So stay with me. We're gonna make up this marinade. You can just marinate this for about 30 minutes if you want. However, I'm gonna go for more like 4 to 5 hours because we have the time. So let's do it that way to maximize flavor. Now I'm starting with some coconut milk. This is a full fat coconut milk. You want it to be full fat, okay? I'm just gonna use this baking dish as my marinating tray, I guess you can call it that. But we're gonna start with 1 cup of coconut milk, and the rest of it is actually gonna be reserved for the rice that we're gonna make to go with this later. Now before we add the lime, I'm gonna zest it here into this. And y'all, I still did not get myself one of the citrus juicer things, you know, that helps you when you're juicing a lime or a lemon or an orange. I really need to just jump on and order that, so I have it for next time. This right here, these are not great to be honest, but this is an optional step. If you just use the lime juice in your fridge that you keep in a bottle, that's okay. If that's all you have, or you don't really wanna buy limes and deal with the process of that, totally fine. Now, this is a marinade, so I'm not too concerned about the fact that I might get seeds in here. So I'm actually gonna put 2 full limes in here. It's about a 1/4 cup. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna save this one for later for serving the garnish. So I'm gonna use my lime juice out of the jar. Okay, we wanna add some garlic. We wanna have good flavor in this. So about 3 cloves. I'm gonna add some honey, just about a tablespoon. This adds a little bit of sweetness, which breaks up all the other flavors. We are using no soy sauce. Feel free to use whichever your preference is. Coconut aminos would be fine as well. Just about a tablespoon. Cumin is a must-have here. About a teaspoon. I might go a little heavier because we really like cumin. And add some salt in here. About a 1/2 teaspoon or so. Okay, mix all of this together, make sure it gets nice and incorporated. Then we're using boneless, skinless chicken breast tonight. You can use whatever you prefer. If you wanna have skin on, bone in, chicken thighs, whichever you prefer. I mean, it's gonna be amazing no matter what you use. So whatever your favorite flavors are, whatever type of chicken you like best, that's what you should use. So I'm just gonna put the chicken breasts into this marinade, put the lid on, I'm gonna put it in the fridge and just let it marinate until we're ready to actually make dinner tonight. Okay, these chicken breasts are just too big for my liking. So you guys know I like to cut off this like tendon part. I don't know why they leave that on a chicken, I have no idea. And then any other fatty parts, I gotta cut them off. and then cut it in half to make it thinner. You can also pound out your chicken if that's your preference, but for this, I feel like then everybody gets a decent sized fillet. Okay, now take the chicken and drop it into that marinade. Make sure it gets all in there and covered. I'm gonna put this into the fridge and then we will pull this back out when we're ready to make dinner. All right, friends, it is time to continue on with this recipe. I've taken the chicken out of the fridge so that it can come up more to room temperature. It's been in there for several hours now. I'm using the rest of that coconut milk and I'm pouring it here into my rice maker. So it's half a cup or so. We do need to add some salt. Gotta have good flavor. I'm gonna add a touch of lime into mine because I want the flavors to match the chicken. I guess I shouldn't say match, I should say complement. Now, the rest of the liquid that I need for the rice is gonna come from bone broth, but feel free to use chicken broth, chicken stock. You can use water if you want. You don't have to have this. If you've been here for a while, you know that we opt for bone broth because it has more protein in it. Okay, I did need to open a new one. I do actually have some bone broth made, but it's frozen. So I need to get that out and use that. I'm desperately trying to see the line here. Okay, I think we're good. Now I'm just gonna let this cook while we continue on with the other parts of the recipe. Okay, time to start this chicken. I'm gonna turn my heat onto a medium. Let's get that pan nice and hot before we put anything in it. Okay, so remember our chicken is here in this container. It's just been marinating all day. My son is gonna help me finish up dinner tonight. We're almost there, almost good enough to put this chicken in. Okay, so we're gonna put the chicken in and let it cook. And then we're discarding all of this marinade because it had raw chicken in it. Okay, I might actually turn up my heat just a smidge to make sure we get like a good sear. This is gonna be really good. Yeah, turn it up just a little bit. All right, for the sake of some good color, we need to add some paprika. And then when we flip it, I will probably add it to the other side, although the other side won't get seared again. I maybe should have done that right before putting it in the pan, but it's okay. Okay, that piece is looking good, so we flip that. You can see the sear that we're starting to get there. That's awesome. As you can see, we've got a good sear working on each piece, which is awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and turn my heat to low just so that it stays warm. We are about probably 3 or 4 minutes from serving here, and I don't want them to get cold. We're just gonna keep them at warm. Actually, let's just turn the heat off and they can just sit here for a few minutes. I'm garnishing with a little bit of the parsley. You can use cilantro if you want. And then I'm just gonna take a lime. You can dip it in something like tahini. This is really just for looks. I need to find the best place for it. Maybe like there. And then I made this little tomato cucumber salad to go on the side just because I wanted a little extra tonight. Let's try this. So I definitely think that the paprika is a must for color, but also it's gonna add that smokiness and flavor. This is
You said it was a coconut lime.
Coconut lime chicken.
Have we had that before? Coconut lime?
We've had cilantro lime.
Okay.
But this one's been marinating in coconut. The coconut rice, and then this is just a little cucumber salad that I made to go on the side. I didn't even film that, so.
Look at that color.
It's just cucumber, tomatoes, some soy sauce, ginger. Really, really simple. Okay, let's try it.
I may not have liked this when I was younger, but the older I get, I love these fresh vegetables.
It's so good. All right, chicken. I'm really hungry.
I can tell.
We're eating way later than we normally eat, and I'm just like, okay, I want to get to the table.
Our daughter started volleyball for a team this year, and so she has practices a little later.
Yeah,
and
we're eating like an hour and a half later than what we normally eat.
We've always been on the early seniors schedule when we eat, so this is tough.
That's really good.
What's this flavored at all?
Yeah, coconut and lime, same.
Okay, I was checking because I didn't know where the burst of flavor came from. I thought
it's the chicken.
It's definitely a chicken.
I might even take this lime and just drizzle over or squeeze the lime over the rice.
The rice, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But the chicken has really good flavor.
It's outstanding.
Yeah. I mean, marinating it, honestly, just marinate it before you go to work in the morning or when you wake up in the morning and just wait until you get home in the evening. Because the chicken takes minutes to cook. I would say 7 to 8 minutes tops.
That's so good.
But the flavor on this is really, really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good, guys.
It's a winner.
For sure, try this one. Chicken salad, but make it hot. Okay, this is a very interesting recipe. This is a sun-dried tomato chicken salad. The flavors are phenomenal. It's so good. You guys are gonna love this one. Reheats really well. Technically, you could eat it cold after it's cooked, but we're gonna make a hot version tonight. I've got some sun-dried tomatoes here. These are not packed in oil, but I do think that the ones packed in oil would be completely fine. I'm just going to cut these up. Now, we like a lot of sun-dried tomatoes, so, you know, you can use less if you would like. There's a little bit of prep in this. As with any chicken salad, there's some cutting involved. Okay, I think that's a good amount. Let's put all those into a little bowl. Now, I'm using chicken thighs for this recipe, but feel free to use chicken breasts. That is fine. I am gonna cut off some of the fat. You guys know, not a fan of that hanging out on there. And then I'm gonna cut it into pieces. Now, technically, you can cook this just as is and then cut it up later, but I'm gonna make it easy on myself. I've already dirtied my cutting board. I'm not gonna cook it and then bring it back over here and do the work again. So we're gonna cut into slices and then kind of like bite-size-ish pieces. I should have sharpened my knife. How often do I say that? Take your guesses in the comments below, because I feel like it's a lot. Also, I did gum up my knife using it to cut the sun-dried tomatoes first though. All right, so the chicken is now cut into little cubes, bite-sized pieces. We need to add some salt. We want this to have good flavor. And I'm gonna add some flour. And I'm gonna toss this in flour. So just a few tablespoons, toss it all around. Let it get coated in that flour. I might add a little bit more after that initial toss. This is for use when you're frying it up, but then when we make the sauce, it's gonna add some thickness to the sauce, okay? I already have some oil over on my stove that's heating up so that this will be ready to toss in there and fry. We're gonna do a quick sear and then we'll start to make the sauce. All right, so my heat was on a low. I just wanted to start there and kind of get the oil heated up. So now I'm gonna turn it up to a medium-ish, maybe a medium high, and really get this working, and then we'll put that chicken in. Okay, I think we're nice and hot here. And I'm gonna start to put this chicken down, letting it cook up. We'll have to break it apart a bit. All right, even though we are adding paprika to the sauce, I do like to saute in paprika. Oh man, this is gonna be so good. Okay, let's start to turn that. Obviously, if you make your chicken in whole pieces, you're gonna have a lot less to turn here. Once I get it all turned over though, it'll be easier to break up separately. I mean, look at this color. So delicious. Now, ideally, if you're looking for a less fattening option, you want to use chicken breast. This is already a little bit more fattening, and we're going to be adding cream to it. Now, I'm using whole milk instead of heavy cream today, just to adjust that fat content a little bit. But if you really want this to be a leaner option, go with chicken breast rather than chicken thighs. Okay, we're really just looking for a good sear, and then we're gonna pull these and put them on a plate because we're gonna make up the sauce and then put the chicken back in with the sauce. Okay, this is actually a really decent sear. So I'm turning my heat down to more of a low, medium low. And let's put all of this on a plate, not over an open flame so I don't melt the plate. My heat is lowered, but we're gonna add in some minced garlic. This is probably about 2 cloves. I've also got some paprika, some cayenne pepper, and some oregano. Half teaspoon of cayenne and about a teaspoon each of paprika and oregano. All of that can go in. Oh my goodness, the smell. Oh my goodness. Okay, mix this just a bit here. And add in the sun-dried tomatoes. Now, because none of the oil, there's no oil in those sun-dried tomatoes, let's just add a touch. Not much, because like I said, we're adding fat into this with the milk, or in your case, it might be heavy cream, but just a little bit, just to kind of get this to come back to life here, the sun-dried tomatoes. I'm gonna add in some chicken broth and some cream milk combo here. Overall, I'm probably adding 1.5 cups. You can make as much of this as you want, but I just felt like that was enough for what we're making. So it was maybe 3/4 cup of each. Let's just stir that. Okay, I also have a little bit of Parmesan cheese. We're just gonna add a little bit in here, less than just a couple tablespoons really. Not too much. Okay, mix all of that, just gently stirring. And we're gonna add the chicken back into this. And my heat is on a medium low. We're gonna let it cook as the sauce reduces. That's the good stuff. Don't let that go to waste. Okay, just let this cook. It's probably gonna take around 5 to 7 minutes or so, but we're gonna let that sauce kind of reduce a bit. It should not boil, but you want a little bit of a simmer. While this finishes over here, I'm gonna prep my bread. So I've got 2 very large sub rolls, and we're gonna cut them in half because this is about the size that we're gonna eat, and then cut them in half like you would a sandwich. Oh, I shouldn't have cut all the way through. I don't normally do that. I don't know what I was thinking. What I like to do is open them up, and then especially for something like this, my preference is to kind of dig out the center a little bit. And the reason we do that is because then you get more filling than bread, but it's totally up to you. If you want more bread, then just don't do that. Don't dig out the center. I'm also gonna do a light toast. You don't have to. Just preference. Our dog is literally waiting for these. Waiting. Oh, you're so spoiled. And if you're wondering, she's not gonna get all of it, but she does get a little. Okay, we're just gonna do a quick toast on these. Okay, you can see that it's taking a little bit longer to come back together when I do this. So it's definitely getting a thicker sauce, which is what I want. I'm gonna let this go just a few more minutes, thicken it up just a little bit more. You want that nice gravy-ish kind of thing in there, but I want to make sure that it's thickened up all the way. Now, when preparing this one, I keep it pretty simple. We've got some basil, and I think that it's really good with basil. Ooh, this basil doesn't look very good. Oh, well, that stinks. Boo. We've got some spinach. Okay, we're gonna use spinach. That stinks. It's so pretty with the basil, and I love the flavor that it adds, but you know, probably should have checked that beforehand. That's my bad. And you know what? Because we're adding spinach, I'm gonna change this up a little bit. Normally, I would top it with fresh basil because I do think it's really good. I'm actually just gonna go ahead and add basil to the chicken mixture and kind of let it cook down just a little bit.
still might add a little bit to each little sandwich, but I don't know, we'll see. I do have fresh basil on my garden, but it's purple basil, and it doesn't add that beautiful color that you're looking for. Man, I mean, it's beautiful color, but it's not that green, pop of green color that I'm looking for this recipe. Okay, so just imagine that this is basil and that we're just topping our beautiful sandwiches with the chicken mixture and the basil, okay? All right, let me show you the assembly process. We're gonna put in some of that amazing chicken flavor. So good. Now I did go ahead and pull some basil off the garden because these flavors just work so well with basil. It's not as much as I would want, but it'll be fine for the recipe today. I actually just recently started growing this basil, so we don't have a ton of it. And then add a little bit more Parmesan cheese. So good. Let's give it a little taste, see how it is. Prepare for messy. It's adjusted to my height, not yours.
It's okay.
It's called Marry Me Chicken Salad, but it's like a hot sandwich. Good, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's different.
Yeah.
What's the green?
Well, there's spinach in that. It was supposed to be basil. We have a little bit of basil off the garden, but the basil wasn't good, so. Would have been really good, I think, with fresh basil.
That's good.
Yeah.
Marry Me chicken salad?
Yeah, a hot chicken salad.
So like, it's meant for the woman to impress the man.
I think so. I think that's where the because there's a Marry Me chicken, and I think that's where it came from. Our verse today comes from Psalm 121, 1-2. I lift my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you're new here, hit that red subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell so you're notified whenever I launch a new video you don't want to miss. I have amazing recipes coming up, so many awesome things planned to share with you all. I hope you're having a great week.